Hello, darlings. It's your favorite ghoul friend, Elvira, here to dish out some delicious dirt. We all love a good scare, don't we? Snuggle on the couch, grab our popcorn, watch poor saps run from monsters, watch poor saps run from madmen. It's all just fun and games, right? Ketchup for blood, rubber masks, actors screaming on cue. But what if the horror doesn't stop when the director yells cut? Nightmares bleed off the silver screen into the real world. That's when things get truly interesting and, well, a little too spooky for comfort. Imagine being on a movie set. Let's start with a real doozy, shall we? The Exorcist. Just the name is enough to give you goosebumps. This 1973 film about a little girl possessed by a demon terrified audiences everywhere. But the real horror might have been happening behind the camera. The set for the McNeil family's house was a hotbed of spooky activity. It was almost as if the filmmakers had invited a real demon to the party, and it decided to stay. The most infamous incident? A mysterious fire that burned the entire set to the ground. Every single room was turned to ash. Everything, that is, except for one room. Can you guess which one? Little Reagan's bedroom. The very room where all the demonic possession scenes were filmed. It was left completely untouched by the flames. How's that for creepy? Oh, Poltergeist. That classic 1982 tale of a suburban family whose house is built on a graveyard. They're here! It's a line that still sends shivers down my spine. But the real horror is what happened after the cameras stopped rolling. A dark cloud seemed to follow the cast, the Poltergeist curse. It all started with a very bad decision. For the infamous pool scene, the production used real human skeletons. Yes, you heard me. Real. They were cheaper than plastic ones. Many believe desecrating remains unleashed a terrible curse. The first tragedy struck months after release. Dominique Dunne was murdered by her ex-boyfriend. She was only 22. The curse seemed to have its first victim. Years later, Julian Beck died of stomach cancer. Will Sampson died from complications after a heart-lung transplant. He even performed a real exorcism on set to try to cleanse it. If you're going to make a movie about the birth of the Antichrist, you should probably expect some trouble. And boy, did The Omen deliver. This 1976 film about a couple who unknowingly adopts the son of Satan was cursed from the very beginning. The filmmakers seem to have a knack for tempting fate, and fate has a wicked sense of humor. The spooky event started even before filming began. The son of lead actor Gregory Peck tragically took his own life 2 months before production started. It set a somber tone for the project. Gregory Peck was on a plane to the UK. His plane was struck by lightning. Screenwriter David Seltzer was on a different plane. His plane was also struck by lightning. The odds were astronomical. Director Richard Donner was staying at a hotel that was bombed by the IRA. Animal actors were a problem. Some horror is subtle. It creeps up on you, a slow-burning dread that just gets under your skin. That's the feeling of Roman Polanski's 1968 masterpiece, Rosemary's Baby. The film is about a young woman who suspects her kindly neighbors are part of a satanic cult grooming her to give birth to the Antichrist. The movie itself is a paranoid psychological thriller, but the real-life events after its release are true horror legend. The film's producer, William Castle, received dozens of angry letters, some even containing death threats. Castle, a showman, at first laughed it off. Then he was struck by sudden, painful gallstones and required emergency surgery. As he lay delirious in hospital, he was said to have screamed, "Rosemary, for God's sake, drop the knife." He believed the film's curse caused his suffering. The film's composer, Krzysztof Komeda, also met a tragic end. Months after release, he fell from a cliff at a party and went into a coma. Not all set nightmares involve curses or ghosts. Some are born from simple, tragic accidents that are no less horrifying. Such is the story of The Crow, a 1994 film now linked with the death of its star, Brandon Lee. The son of the legendary Bruce Lee, Brandon was a charismatic actor on the verge of superstardom. The Crow was meant to be his breakout role, playing a rock musician who is resurrected. The film had a dark, gothic tone. The production was already having a difficult time. The shoot was plagued by problems from the start. A carpenter was severely burned by a power line. A stuntman fell through a roof. A disgruntled employee drove his car through the studio's plaster shop. A freak storm destroyed several of the expensive sets. It was a tough, grueling production. On March 31, 1993, with only 8 days of filming left, the gun was supposed to be loaded with harmless blanks. However, due to a series of catastrophic errors, a fragment of a dummy bullet became lodged in the barrel. Sometimes, the quest for a thrilling shot can have devastating consequences. Twilight Zone. The movie, a 1983 anthology film that paid tribute to the classic TV series. The production is now infamous for one of the most horrific on-set accidents in Hollywood history. The segment, directed by John Landis, involved a story about a bigoted man, played by actor Vic Morrow, who is transported back in time to experience the persecution of others. The climactic scene was meant to show his character redeeming himself by saving 2 Vietnamese children from a U.S. Army helicopter during the Vietnam War. The scene was ambitious and dangerous, filmed at night with a real helicopter flying low over a simulated village filled with explosive special effects. The children had been hired illegally, and safety precautions were tragically overlooked. The pilot lost control in a horrifying instant. Our next tale of terror is much more recent, proving that cursed productions aren't just a thing of the past. Let's talk about the 2012 film The Possession. The movie is based on the supposedly true story of a Dybbuk box, a wine cabinet that is said to be haunted by a restless, malicious spirit from Jewish folklore. The story goes that the real box brought misfortune to everyone who owned it. So, naturally, when they decided to make a movie about it, the producers acquired the actual, real-life Dybbuk box. What could possibly go wrong, darlings? The star of the film, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, was a skeptic at first. He didn't believe in curses or ghosts, but the strange things that started happening on set soon made him a believer. Lights would explode for no reason during key dramatic scenes. A constant, unexplainable cold breeze would blow through closed sets. Morgan and other crew members would get sudden, overwhelming feelings of being watched, feeling a cold presence right next to them. The weirdest events seemed to happen when the prop Dybbuk box, a replica made for the film, was on set. A few weeks after the production ended, the storage facility where all the movie's props were being kept burned to the ground. A fire department investigation could find no cause for the blaze. So, there you have it, my little horrors. Fires, curses, tragic accidents, unexplained deaths. It seems that when you make a movie that invites darkness in, sometimes it accepts the invitation and overstays its welcome. Are these all just a string of terrible coincidences? Is it simply that dangerous stunts can go wrong and life is tragically fragile? Or is there something more at play? Is it possible that by focusing so much creative energy on evil, on demons, on death, these filmmakers accidentally tore a little hole in the fabric of reality? From The Exorcist to The Possession. A sense of dread on set, unexplained technical failures, a trail of misfortune that follows the cast and crew long after the film is in theaters. It makes you think about the power of belief. If enough people believe in a curse, can they manifest it into reality? Or are these films simply tapping into a darkness that is already there, waiting just beneath the surface for a chance to come out and play? The questions are far more frightening than any easy answers. The next time you're watching a scary movie, think about the people who made it. Think about the actors screaming, the crew working in the shadows, and the director trying to capture the perfect scare. And wonder if, for any of them, the horror felt a little too real. Wonder if they took a piece of that darkness home with them. The thin line between the make-believe horror on the screen and the real-life horror of the world is a fascinating and terrifying place. It reminds us that some stories have a life of their own,